Welcome to Overthinking Episode 9, where we take fun, interesting ideas, overanalyze them, and run them to their logical conclusions, all in the name of exploration, education, and most importantly, entertainment.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Devin.
And we don't claim to be experts in any of the topics we discuss here today. We simply find these ideas interesting as we hash them out in real time. Get ready to join us on this exciting, fun, crazy ride to nowhere.
This week, we are sunbathing on top of the Pyramid of Menkura. It's very, very nice, very relaxed. We're keeping the social distancing.
Yes, yep, of course.
For those of you who aren't familiar, this is the smallest of the Great Pyramids of Giza. We could actually climb to the top of it.
Really? Huh, I've never heard of it. Yeah, we have our own separate little places, exactly 6 feet apart. Which is funny. I saw. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, that's what the thing was. There's this movie called 6 Feet Apart, and it's the most hilarious teen drama. And me and my friend were laughing so hard watching it in a theater full of sobbing teenagers, which made us laugh harder because they're just crying. It's this dumb teenage heartthrob movie. Oh, that's like one of the most fun I've ever had. So yeah, 6 Feet Apart.
Huh.
That's, yeah, big comparison to 6 Feet Apart now. What's going on now? We'll see what happens when this is airing. It might be totally out of date.
I mean, even if it is, people still know what we're referencing.
True. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's going down in history.
Yeah.
But before we even get started, Devin, I have something a little bit special. All right?
What are you drinking?
Okay.
Yeah.
For the first time ever.
Ooh.
All right? Wait,
dun,
let me get it
dun.
set up. I have before me 2 fancy glasses. Do you know what this is?
Not a clue.
It's kombucha.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to have such a hard experience today.
I've never had kombucha before in my life.
Nice.
My brother got some, and I'm like, oh, I have to bring it for the pod. Of course. Right? So I have 2 different ones. I have ginger, pear, and a blackberry one. So I'm going to try this one's the non-sweet one first.
Do you have water too?
Mm-hmm. Ooh. It's like soft. It's like soft water. That's a ginger pear. That one's nice. And then here's the blackberry. It's odd.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see myself liking this and getting used to it. I would say that the first taste of it, the ginger pear has a nice little acidic thing, has a nice almost like a wine, like a white wine taste to it. And then it turns soft in your mouth, and your mouth feels a little like cottony or like mushy, you know? And the blackberry one just tastes like juice, really, more than anything, just because I think there's like sugar in it or something. Or
the
some
only
kind of
kombucha
sweetener.
I've ever had tastes only of vinegar. If I wanted to drink vinegar, I drink vinegar.
Yeah, I wonder because I don't really know much about how kombucha is made. I know it's like fermented
Yeah.
something.
I don't know.
Somehow, and it has like a tiny bit of alcohol in it, like the smallest amount. But yeah, so that's what I'm drinking today. So yeah, I would say rating the ginger pear. I think it definitely gets like an 8 out of 10. I really like it. I can see myself getting used to it. The blackberry one's like a 6. It's not. I wouldn't drink this. It tastes too much like juice. It makes
a
me feel
lot
like
better
I'm
than I
unhealthy.
expected. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, and I have water. I'm gonna wash it down though with a.
He's like, that was really good. I need to wash it down with something different.
It was good, but it leaves an interesting taste in my mouth that I'm not ready for yet. So yeah, okay, kombucha. Look at that. I feel like a real California boy now. You know,
You're a hipster.
I'm a total hipster. I'm the. Oh yeah, no, I'm the opposite of a hipster.
Nope.
What? No.
Look at what you're wearing. Look at your hair. Look at what you're drinking. You're a hipster.
I was about to say I'm wearing like a suit jacket, but then I'm like, no, how I'm dressed with like the t-shirt and the H&M suit.
Yup.
The loose, wavy, like curly hair, just letting
Yep.
loose. I have these fancy spherical things that lay down this way, so I almost spilled this like so many times. I'm going back in for more. I guess fine. The only thing, you know what I'm missing? I'm missing
Glasses without lenses.
Okay. Funny enough, my mom was just talking to me about buying me glasses. I might actually need glasses, real glasses though. I want to be. I might be nearsighted. So because I'm having trouble seeing at night, and my mom was like, "You should get like those blue light glasses to filter out blue light to help with your sleep."
Honestly, everybody should have those. Like,
Well, yeah, I wonder how well I've seen varying reviews on. It's hard to find the real ones because there's a lot of ones that like they have the big name, but they're kind of sketchy. So I don't know, dude. But yeah, so that's what we're drinking, and I'm gonna be sipping on that throughout. And so if you hear a weird like, ooh, that's me still getting used to the
down
taste.
kombucha.
Choking down kombucha. That's our podcast. That's what. Come on, Devin. We just created a new podcast name, Choking Down Kombucha.
Every single episode we have, we start a new podcast off of it.
Yeah, no, we're not doing
At
that.
some
Don't
point,
worry.
we're just going to have the 24/7 Luke and Devin show, and it's going to be a never-ending live stream.
Dude, I've thought, you don't know. I'm way ahead of you. I've thought about it. I'm like, how would happen if I live stream my life? I'm like, I would hate everything. No, thank you. And no one would watch that. That wouldn't be fun. I thought of it as a productivity hack. You know, if everyone's watching you, you're
Productivity hack.
Productivity hack. Then everyone, you'll be super productive because everyone will be watching.
Oh, there you said it right. That was cool.
I don't know, dude. Maybe I just said it because I heard it. You say it out.
You say it right when you say productive. Then you say it wrong when you say productivity.
Productivity. Productive.
Right. It's the same word. Productivity.
I don't know, dude. It gets the message across. That's the important thing, right? You know what I mean. And I was like, no, that just stressed me out. I don't need that in my life. But to warm up our brains, we gotta go into the old cellar, climb up that rickety ladder, down the rickety ladder, open up the strange box, and let's delve into this week's Secrets Uncovered.
I'm never gonna get over the fact that you make a sound effect knowing that you have it.
Like every time I'm like, I'll just be silent, but my body goes, no, you can't be. You cannot be silent, Luke. I'm like, fine, I gotta listen to my body.
So, do you have a Secrets Uncovered?
I do actually. I have a little bit of a follow up.
Okay.
So, I was watching Age of Ultron with my family last night.
Okay.
You right?
Old movie.
It is. It's so much better when you watch it now. Like all the Avengers movies, they age way better than when you watch them the first time. I've enjoyed all of them. I've actually
That
enjoyed
actually
it.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's less hype around it. It's old. It's nostalgic now. Like it's you get a lot of really good vibes watching the old Avengers movies.
There's different things that you notice that
Exactly.
you'll never notice first time, but just like little jabs that the characters take,
Right. And you
the
don't take it-
relationship dynamics, and
Yeah, and you don't take it that seriously anymore. Whereas, like, what's gonna happen next? And now you're just like, I know what's gonna happen. I don't really care. So like,
I'm like, oh, Hawkeye's actually funny.
right? Well, yeah. Like I remember because I hated Avengers and I hated Age of Ultron. I thought they were terrible, terrible movies.
Yeah.
And I watched them again. And I'm like, I enjoyed myself so much watching these, which is funny. But I guess that's one part of the Secrets Uncovered. Is go out and watch those movies again. You'll enjoy them more. But the real thing when we were talking about the teleportation, right? Way back when, episode like what?
That was a three? Yeah.
4. No, it's episode 4 because it's
Episode 4.
It's the one we were posting today on the
Yeah.
date of recording this.
That was a fun. I think that's my favorite episode
It is.
that's
Oh,
aired so far.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's so great. And it's
Check it out if you haven't.
yeah. But I was thinking about that because in Age of Ultron, right? He's a sentient. He's an AI, right? So you can make the argument from the Chinese room experiment, right? That we did, that from what we could tell, he is conscious, right? There's no way to tell that he's not, and because of the magical powers of like the Mind Stone, right? He's technically conscious, right? But I was like, but he splits himself, so he duplicates himself across machines, and he's all connected by a neural network, right? But then they sever that network. And then all of a sudden, they never address this in the movie, but all of a sudden, I'm just like, wait, are they different people now? And it was so interesting for me to treat it as like, no, we're fighting Ultron. But I'm like, no. By severing this network, you just created a legion of sentient robots. And now you're murdering all of them. Where we have a new life form, a brand new life form, that's varying and complex now. And then you're wiping them out right now. Of course, they're murderers. They want to destroy the whole world. Yada yada yada, whatever. But then I was thinking, I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And I was picturing myself. I'm like, that's another step of the teleportation experiment. That's another way of viewing it. So that was interesting to me in taking teleportation in the Chinese room. What is it called? The Chinese lettering room, whatever it's called.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever it's traditionally called, and kind of pairing them to then watch Avengers movies through that light. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a nifty little way of enjoying these movies on a deeper level. And yeah, that was my little mini thought experiment for the week. What about you? Have something, Devin?
Yeah. This is just so for those keeping track of my personal life.
Oh yeah. Huh?
Because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus and everything right now. The crazy busy week that I said that I have all the time just a couple weeks ago is gone.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, like everything that I did on a daily basis, I don't do anymore. It's all shut down. And so, I was talking a couple weeks ago about the idea that I don't want it to be easier because it's making me better, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now this last week with my week being opened up, I got to experience how much better am I actually? Like, can I maintain this? What can I do with all this free time, right? And as I think most people would expect, like it started off strong.
Yeah.
But the thing that was really, really interesting to me was I wake up every day at 5 a.m. And now I don't need to anymore.
Right.
But I wake up every day at 5 a.m. and I start my morning routine. And the interesting thing that I found was I have this like association. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. because that's what I do, and I've trained myself that my word means something. So if I say I'm going to do it, I do it.
Right.
I can wake up at 5 a.m., do stuff in the morning, and actually go back to bed and have a extremely productive, efficient day.
Okay.
One day in this week, my alarm went off at 5 a.m. I turned it off and fell asleep before I got out of bed. Which hasn't happened since I started being serious about waking up at 5 a.m.
Right.
I haven't hit snooze, and I haven't fallen back asleep except for that one day. That day, I fought all day long and could not get myself to be productive. And it's this really... So my secrets uncovered is this really weird paradigm of like, I've associated my morning routine with some part of my identity that makes me more productive.
Right. And
when I missed that, I could not make myself be as good as I normally am.
Yep. Yeah. No, I totally feel it because my day is always shot if I don't wake up on time. And that's been my problem right now, is just waking up on time. We'll figure out, why. We talked about the B12, right? Was it you that was talking about that?
Yeah.
I have it. Yeah,
right here on my desk.
I have it right here too, right? So I did a test and I found out I was really low. So I've been taking that. Hopefully that will help. Doing some vitamin D because I'm low on that as well.
That's kind of funny because when we talked about that, it was I told you these are two things I started doing at the same time. Yeah. And all of a sudden I had more energy. So I can't tell you which one it was.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So we'll see. That'll actually make an interesting update. We'll be sure to update all on that. But yeah, so yeah, it's I love how we kind of brought in. I like that's the reason I like this segment. So we brought in like what we usually talk about, like the business side of things. We're able to bring it into this and talk about productivity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But enough of warming.
I like Secrets Uncovered. It lets us talk about whatever you want that has nothing to do with anything.
Almost like I'm an absolute genius.
Almost. Almost. But the line between genius and insane is very thin.
Oh, I've crossed that line. I use that line as a jump rope.
I like that you think that you crossed that line.
I don't know which way though. So, anyway, okay. Enough of warming up our braids. It's time to get into the real stuff, the deep stuff, the true stuff, the stuff that we're here to talk about, right? And today, I wanted to, you know how we usually we're like, we'll solve this. We'll solve this problem. We're not gonna stop till we solve this problem.
Yeah, we're gonna. This podcast will run until we figure out everything.
Yeah.
Then we're done.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's how
That
it
should only be a
works.
couple more episodes anyway.
Yeah, no, I know. We really screwed ourselves with that timeline. So today we're tackling and we're going to solve morality. Boom.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Right? Morality is always interested in me because I first really started getting interested in morality because I got really into script writing and screenplays and film and stories, right? And then of course that turned into public speaking, and that became my vehicle for telling stories. But I've always had this huge fascination with film, and so this ties on a little bit, with watching the movie last night. As I knew I was going to talk about this, so I was like analyzing. I'm like, okay, what about what are some morality things? Killing a sentient creature, creating sentient creatures, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff with magic. But the reason that the first thing that piqued my interest in this was this thought experiment of, I think it's like the child in the lake. I forget what exactly it's called. People name these things, whatever they want. But the question is, if you're walking by a lake and there's someone drowning and you could jump in and save them, but you just bought brand new, really expensive shoes, and if you jump in, you'll ruin the shoes. There's no time to try it on time or whatever, Is that worth the cost? And most people, I hope everyone would say, well, yeah, duh, of course it is. But my real question is, I'm like, okay, what do we start? Is there something that isn't human life that we can start equating with human life? And that's really my first question to you, Devin, is that if there was someone, let's say drowning, I don't know, whatever situation you have where someone's life is in danger, but there's something besides human life on the line on the other side, what would that be that would have to make you choose that other thing?
Oh, so what would I need to lose in order to not be willing to save the person?
Right, exactly.
Excluding other human life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? That's a thinker.
By that expression, it's also like my life won't be in jeopardy regardless.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, exactly. Because the whole point of this is to say, like, what can the law do? Because regarding human life, is that it's regarded as the most precious thing, right? But it interferes with different laws and saying, well, if we prioritize human over everything, that could cause.
Well, I mean, that's speciesism, right?
Right, exactly.
There's no actual reason to exert the notion that humans are somehow superior to other animals without relying on some form of religion. I
wouldn't say that. I would say it depends on if it's a worldview. Let's say if humans are superior, right? I would say that is because by all terms, by how we see the world, because animals can't make a decision, right, of what's valuable and what's not, whether all life is precious or whether it's not, right, or whether value, right? They can't judge value; it's instincts, right? And of course, the more intelligent an animal you get, the more they are capable. But still, we have never seen an animal as capable as humans. So we retain.
How do you know that?
We've never observed. I was just saying we know that because we haven't observed it.
How do you know that?
I'm saying that we haven't. If we observed it, then we would know.
How do you know we haven't?
I'm saying while I observe, I mean we could. Let's say this is actually okay. Wait. This actually brings me back. Okay, I thought for a long time, because I've always been into science fiction, but when I was young, I read so much science fiction. I basically got lost. I lost it, mostly for the real world. And I thought, I'm like, what if we go to another planet and it looks like there's a bunch of insects, on the ground. How do we tell if they're intelligent or not? How do we tell if they're conscious? I mean, what test? I mean, sure, there's like some language tests. There's tests to see if they're improving and building technology. But what if they don't want to build technology? What if what if they're behind? And what if they're not as advanced as we are? What if they have a language that we just can't understand because it's so alien and foreign? It would take us, decades or hundreds of years, to try to break it down. How do we know? And then of course, if we see them as just insects and we exterminate them like we do insects now, right? Then all of a sudden, is that... And of course, that's where... I mean, I wouldn't say anyone's to blame, but would that be considered a genocide, or not? So that was always a thought that I had. Like, how would we know? And then it turns, of course, into animals here on Earth. By observe, what I mean is that we recognize signs of intelligence. I could see them. Like, if I see an ant like walking in a certain way to avoid danger, I'm like, well, that could be making accessing danger, making a concrete decision based on some form of like high intelligence, and we just would never know, right? That's, I think, the reason why.
I would very strongly press back on that. I don't think there's any discernible, provable, defensible approach to claiming that we are in any way superior in thinking to any species. Period.
To think, and I guess we would get into what's a superior mean.
Yeah, and
we're best at surviving. We're the best at surviving. That's what we are.
Are we though?
I mean, we've taken over the entire world.
Have we though?
Maybe except for the water.
There's microorganisms that live way more places than we do.
True.
There's species in the ocean that live way more spaces than we do.
All right.
And if you want to like actually look at what different animals are capable of, dolphins communicate just as intelligently as humans do.
Yeah.
But over a medium that humans can't grasp.
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue that's an argument that they are superior to us.
Interesting.
And
uh-huh.
I could make the same argument for bats for the same reason. I mean, what humans are really good at is killing whatever we want to kill. But does that make us better?
No, I'm not saying that makes us better. I'm saying it depends on what we mean by superior. Because when it comes to like a Darwinian look at species, the species is quote unquote superior, right? If it survives better than other species. And I would say that given enough time, we would survive all the places that other organisms survive. Like, let's say, like the ocean. Like, let's say, like the Antarctic. Like, we used to not be able to survive there, but now we have technology that allows us to survive there. We're able to now survive underwater for an amount of time. We're able to survive in space, right? So I would say when it comes to that kind of argument of survival, I think that given enough time that we will be able to literally be anywhere, or the organisms not. Given enough time, they wouldn't have the same effect, the same growth.
If you stick to the Darwinian perspective of if you can survive, you win, and that makes you better, then I would say our domesticated animals do much better than we do.
In what way?
We as a species literally complicate survival.
Yes,
we make survival for ourselves harder than it has to be. Our domesticated species, they're protected by us.
Yeah.
They're defended by us. They don't have to work for survival. We do. They win.
True. But then again, their survival is dependent on us.
Yeah, but that's no different than a parasitic species.
Yeah. I mean, there's others that argue that we're a parasitic species on Earth.
Absolutely. But look at, like, common house cat.
Yeah.
Is their survival dependent on us, or is it just perpetuated by us? Because, if a cat is left to its own devices, they're pretty good at surviving and reproducing.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But they live with us because it makes their life easy.
Yeah.
And that's also why sometimes they leave.
Lazy little bags of trash. I hate cats so much. And they hate me, so it's equal. We both equally hate each other.
That
is interesting. Okay, this definitely took a different turn than I thought it would. About meaning and value. So my question to you then is that we can't not assign value to things. That's the entire way law works.
My question to you is assertion.
No, so I'm just saying that's a basis for law. And if you're saying that we can't survive value, we can't assign value to things, and then that would lead to a certain amount of chaos. So my question would be that how would we define value then of things?
How do we define value?
Yeah. How do we assign value to things then?
I don't know. Let's start with the definition
Of
value.
value? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that goes back to, and that's kind of like the crux of the argument, right? Is your shoes versus somebody else, is that you don't know that person. If that person never existed, you would never know. Most likely. So it has no impact on your life.
Yeah.
But those shoes have a huge impact on your life. And especially like if you do a job where you walk a lot, it could save you, medical costs, years of pain, things like that, where it could have a huge impact on your life. So I think the thing is that we have to. It's the balancing act of society values this, and I personally value this, and we have to balance that constantly. So you find it? What's the definition? You find a good definition?
Google's definition is the regard that something is held to deserve the importance, worth, or usefulness of something.
All right, that doesn't tell you much at all. Which I figured values, and that's the thing. That's the problem, is that it's a hard thing to actually.
So, I'm gonna bring a very unpopular perspective onto this.
Okay.
The standardized system for assessing value it's something that as a species we determined a metric for a long time ago. It's money.
Yeah.
Like the reason we have money is literally so that we can compare apples to oranges.
Exactly.
And
Literally.
Right. So the how much is a human life worth?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the unpopular part. To an extent, it's dependent. Not all human life is equal. And how can I say that? Well, anyone who has an hourly rate, you've agreed that that's how much your time's worth.
Yeah.
Multiply that by how much time you spend on Earth. That's your life's value.
Yeah.
According to your own acceptance, like we've
Right.
accepted that with our hourly rates.
exactly.
We've accepted that with a salary rate.
Yeah.
The only people who haven't accepted that are like true entrepreneurs who are actually trying to define their own value.
Right.
But the marketplace is going to dictate what that is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no one. I mean, just because you think you're worth a lot doesn't mean that the market or other people care.
Exactly. And so, what is the value of a human life? Well, that human life is actually valued at $5 million. There's actually a monetary association to it. If we want to use that standard, what is the average human life worth, and how much were those shoes?
Yeah, but the problem is we don't think that way.
No, and you shouldn't.
Yeah. Let's be clear. We're not sitting around just judging how much people are worth and deciding whether they're good or not. But yeah, I mean, because the thing, and that's the interesting thing to me, and why this piqued my interest so much, is because I think the reason why we have a hard time with comparing human life to other things is that we don't know what human life is. We don't know what consciousness is. And I think that might be the reason why that we have such a hard time, and why we're so unreasonable when it comes to saving human life. I remember, same thing. Okay, Age of Ultron. I know it's weird, using this as an example, but that was just the most recent movie I saw. They're trying to say do you remember? You watched it, right? You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you know that spoilers for a 6-year-old movie, 7-year-old movie. So the guy, the fast guy, whatever his name is, is that
Quicksilver? Yeah.
Is it? I just hated the representation of him. He dies saving a boy, all because this boy was trapped. What's his face? Goes to save him, and then there's a rain of bullets, and Quicksilver runs in front of the bullets and saves him. All because there was this little boy who would have died, right?
I thought Quicksilver died saving Hawkeye.
Yeah, well, Hawkeye. So that's what it is, Hawkeye. So Hawkeye ran to save the boy, and then Quicksilver ran in front of them, right? So both the boy and Hawkeye would have died, right? To me, I'm like, well, of course you couldn't have known that would happen, but your life as a gifted individual who can save so many people and do so much good,
right,
is worth.
You could argue that Hawkeye is nowhere near as valuable as Quicksilver.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I'm watching him. Honestly, that's what makes me laugh so much is watching Hawkeye just shoot arrows at metal people. I'm like, you realize that wouldn't actually do anything. Like, I guess some of them are explosive, some of them are electric, but like...
This is my favorite thing, actually, about Hawkeye as a character in that movie. Mm-hmm. It comes down to a single scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's running across the city, and the director wanted a really epic running scene of Hawkeye that they could over-dramatize and make look cool. Right. And the actor, I don't remember his name, who plays Hawkeye, he didn't like that idea because he thought that the premise of him being in this situation made no sense.
Yeah.
So, first take, when he's supposed to do something very specific, he instead picks up his bow, starts jogging, and makes this sly comment of, I'm just a guy with an arrow fighting robots. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was gold, and they kept it. Yeah. I don't know exactly what he says. Something like that.
Something like that. It's true, right? And that's funny, but like in that moment, I was just like, yeah, that was not a good decision. Like that was an inequality. Like that was a bad decision that will hurt people, because you did this, right? And of course, we can't know the future. We can't know if he would turn evil and hurt whatever, you know. And that's like the other thing. And the two uncertainties is that we don't know the future, right? Is that that child drowning in a lake could become the doctor that cures you of whatever disease that you have, right? In that case, that child is the most valuable person in the world to you, right? Even though you don't know it yet. And the other unknown is what is consciousness, and how do we tell? Like, it's like...
No, and I think that's really fair, too, because if it wasn't a what if or a hypothetical, if we knew for a fact that some other species on this planet was fully sentient and thought and felt the way that we do... Mm-hmm. All of a sudden that would elevate them to being very close to equal of what human life is worth.
Right.
If it wasn't a we don't know, but it was a no, we communicate with it and we fully know.
Yeah.
But
and then that becomes like, and that's, I guess at a certain point, I get that the big problem is the communication part. I mean that's what stopped. I mean that's what caused problems amongst other species of humans back when we were exploring the world. Was that we thought other
still
people...
does.
Well, I mean, still does, yeah, but, that's...
We talked about miscommunication last episode.
Oh, yeah, we did, huh? Yeah. That's right, because then we're like, oh, these people aren't, as good at us as us because they don't understand us, right? So we could be doing that right now to, another animal or something that just we can't understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the term barbarian comes from historically.
Oh, really?
The Greeks thought that everybody who wasn't Greek was barbarian, and it was a term of destatusizing them. And the reason is because of the languages that they heard around them that weren't Greek. Yeah. Because it sounds like people are just saying bar, 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 bar.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. that's where the word barbarian comes from. Because barbarian is an epic word. I love that word. It's just for me, it's just it means being just the most embodiment of a testosterone-driven man. Just like
Conan the Barbarian.
Who?
Conan the Barbarian.
Conan? Wait, what? Who? Yeah. What are you saying?
Conan the Barbarian.
Who's what?
It's literally what made that term famous for America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a movie. Conan's the name of the main character, starred by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's also what made him famous.
Really? I've never heard of this
America.
Before.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Conan, the late night show Conan. I'm like, is that a bit that he does? I'm not sure what you mean. Conan the Barbarian? Yeah, no, I've never heard of him.
Let's see. It came out in 1982.
That's probably why. Also, I've seen one. I think I've seen one Schwarzenegger film, and that's the first Terminator.
Hmm. You saw the only good one he ever did. You're okay.
I don't know. People say they like T2. I don't know. Like, I've heard. I keep on wanting to watch it, but
I will watch every installment of the Terminator franchise.
The latest
and
one?
While doing so, I will continue to admit that the first one was the only good one.
Really, huh?
I think the premise is fun, so I'll watch all of them.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah. Anyway, getting back to that. So I think the real question is, I think going back is that do you, with that light in mind, because I really want. Like, it's a different trolley, because the trolley, what you're doing is you're comparing people. It's about, like, that's what you're doing is, like, if I do this specific act, this amount of people will die, blah, 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 right? Or, you know, if I did the one, like, where if you push someone in the front of it, like, does that change your decision making, right? It's all about your involvement in it. But for this, it's taking out your involvement, basically, and it's just saying, okay, what do you value more? And it's funny, I was thinking about this. And I was thinking, like, I guess what it comes down to is money. Like it comes down to a value of money. Because that's how we measure things, right? Like you said. So I was thinking, like, what if it's like, I guess maybe something that doesn't involve money. Is that what about sacrificing, like, your happiness for someone? What about sacrificing something that you can't really assign a monetary value to?
Yeah, that was what I was gonna bring up, and then the conversation just veered away from it.
Okay.
But I can imagine there being specific, like, personal morals or beliefs that I would have to jeopardize to save a person that I wouldn't.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. So, Well, morals, right?
yeah.
You would say that even let's say personal morals, not necessarily society-wise morals, just personal morals would trump.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, not in the situation that you displayed.
Right,
like,
of course.
There's no rational way that would
Yeah,
happen.
there's no. Like, oh, sorry, I don't believe in children swimming, so I want to punish them.
But,
Obviously, yeah, not.
Like the scenario of, like, every action movie ever where you kidnapped my daughter and now I have to kill 55 people in order to save her.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
what I want, and there's a movie that does this well, and I can't remember for the life of me what it is. But I want so badly for, like, the beginning scene to be that superhero scene. I think the main character, right, is the person just, like, mowing through all these bodyguards, right? And then it switches perspective, and all of a sudden the main character is one of those bodyguards, right? And then you get to see, like, and you're like, yeah, you're cheering for who you think is the good guy, right? Just, like, you know, pounding, like, and then rescuing the person, right, and winning. And then you're like, no, and then switching the perspective and going, who is the good guy? You know,
that would be really cool, actually, if the premise it does this open scene, epic scene, like you just described, and then just text label. Like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
And so it shows you the story, and the entire time you're thinking it's the story of the hero.
Right.
And then it isn't until the last scene plays out that you realize that was actually one of the bodyguards the whole time.
That's so good. Then, but the fascinating thing is that then all of a sudden your quote unquote morality switches to where you view this as you start empathizing and be like, oh, that's a bad thing. Whereas the same action, the action is the exact same. The only difference is that now we know the person who's being hurt.
You know what would make that really great too? Mm-hmm. You could do that in such a way where it's intentional and the movie itself switches your perspective to where you think that hero is actually the bad guy.
Right.
Then have a sequel that actually shows the story of the hero leading up to that battle.
Well, they're.
And then with the two movies together, you walk away realizing, no, neither of them are bad guys.
I know. I can't. For the life of me, there's a book that's from the perspective of the bad guy, quote unquote, right? And I can't. That's what it is. Oh, it's not the one I was thinking of, but there's a different one. It's actually my favorite series of all time, and it's a Star Wars. It's part of the extended universe of Star Wars, and there's the best quote unquote villain ever. I just love. He's such a good character, right? And he is the villain in like two in the series, right? So the series, and he's the villain, right? He's the main force, and then they have his backstory book, and he's like the most amazing protagonist ever. And you're just like, wait a minute. I honestly, when I reread the original trilogy, I'm like, I think I'm rooting for him, even though you have all the classic Star Wars good guys on the other side. Like, I actually kind of don't want them to win. I kind of want him to win. I think he deserves to.
I mean, this would probably be a very fun episode in itself, but I think the only reason that we view the Star Wars heroes as heroes is because they were framed that way.
Yeah, well, they're
if you're objective about their universe, they're not good
No,
people.
they're not at all. They're they're terrorists.
You're literally trying to dismantle a system that abolished slavery in the entire universe.
Yeah. Like that established order. They murdered 1 million people who were just doing their jobs, and then did it again. There's a subreddit called "The Empire Did Nothing Wrong," and I have the Empire sticker on my car. Because they didn't do anything wrong. You know? Maybe they were a little racist and sexist.
Didn't do anything wrong, probably isn't the right wording, but it's pretty objective that they were good for the universe.
Yeah. Overall.
They were an overall good.
The universe was better off.
And I mean, very first episode of Star Wars to ever be aired, like, we meet our protagonist in a conversation with his aunt and uncle about how he wants to join the Empire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, they were good enough that he wanted to.
Right. That was his way. He would have been, especially with his abilities, he would have been an amazing fighter because he wanted to be a star pilot, right? So it is interesting because that universe in particular, because it has it pulls on people's emotions so hard.
I've mentioned this movie to you before. I don't know if it's been on the show or not, but the movie Watchmen.
The movie Watchmen? Because there's a show called Watchmen, right?
I don't know.
No, we talked about this originally, and I thought you were talking about the book. No, okay, yeah, that's right. You mentioned it to me. Remind me what it's about.
So
remind the listeners
Watchmen.
What it's about,
Watchmen was it's one of my favorite superhero movies.
Good.
And a big reason for that is that who is painted as the villain is not he's not a storybook villain. He's not black and white.
Right.
He's actually doing something for the best possible outcome for humanity. And he wins. And so Watchmen is the basic premise of the movie is there's a group of people who are like a superhero league, but it's like timeline like years after this league's been disbanded. And only one of them truly has superpowers. He actually has superpowers that are effectively equivalent to like a god. And then the other ones are just people with varying levels of like abilities as far as fighting and moral duty. And actually, when the Watchmen, I mean, it started off as a graphic novel, and when it was first pitched, it was pitched to DC, and they wanted to use pre-existing DC heroes. They wanted to use Owlman. They wanted to use Captain Atom. They wanted to use the Trickster. I think it was the Trickster.
Okay.
I don't remember the fourth person they wanted to use. But DC rejected each one of the heroes they wanted to use individually based on the individual framing and the perspective it gave that hero. And they're like, no, he doesn't get to be this powerful. No, he doesn't get to be evil. So they made up their own characters.
Wow. Zack Snyder directed it. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
But the guy who ends up being the antagonist is the smartest man to ever live. Premise. And a insanely capable fighter. So I don't remember, or I don't want to get into the entire plot more than I don't remember.
Spoil anything for me.
Basically, he was a member of this league, and they mentioned at some point in the movie how he used to joke that he was fast enough to catch a bullet. And they mentioned this from one of the heroes' perspectives when he's like, and that's the man we're gonna have to go fight now. But and then actually he is fast enough to catch a bullet. Fun fact. But there's a point in it when he like explains his plan to them that basically involves killing millions of people.
Yeah.
And is also like literally the only way to save the human race. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're not going to let that happen. And he just makes the note. He's like, I'm not a comic book villain. Do you think I would tell you my plan if there was any possibility of you stopping it?
Yeah.
It's already happened.
Yeah.
And he exploited the superpowers of the one guy who actually has superpowers to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it just in a really epic way that was like the bad guy wins, the bad guy's right, the bad guy saves humanity.
Yeah.
The good guys try to get in his way and epically fail, and it's a good thing they fail because if the good guys would have won, we would all die.
Yep.
And just that twist on perspective was so cool.
Right. And that's the current perspective too of a lot like when it comes to Marvel movies is like you brought this upon yourself by organizing this, by putting up a challenge basically and making it more difficult for anyone to get ahead by having all these superheroes. You're forcing us to bring up our own forces, right, and to attack harder and stronger than ever before against Earth. And the stronger you get, the stronger we're going to get because we have to. It's kind of like the line in Dark Knight is where if we start wearing if we start wearing Kevlar, they buy armor piercing rounds. It is interesting, but also
I want to talk about
Yeah?
Dark Knight trilogy on one of these episodes.
fine. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
God.
We'll watch it beforehand and then we'll have notes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I have thoughts and beliefs.
I love
and
all.
It's the best superhero trilogy of all time.
It is. Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad. I thought you were about to say that it sucks, and I was like, oh no, we're gonna fight. But the funny
And it
thing
sucks.
is, a more comical approach at this take is from Megamind. Remember that
I don't know what Megamind
giant
is.
blue head guy? Wait, you never?
Oh,
Remember that? Do you remember that movie? It was like 2012 or something, 2013. Please tell me it's one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
no, I haven't seen it.
No. Okay. I'm disappointed, but it's okay.
I don't watch movies unless I'm invited to them, and I don't have friends.
I'm inviting
so...
you. We can have a little watch party. But
Okay.
So the premise is that he's the villain, and he's doing his best to be the best villain, and then all of a sudden, he kills the hero, and he has no idea what to do with himself, and he's just so bored, and so he goes around, and eventually he conquers everything. So he's like, I don't know. And then eventually he's like, well, I guess maybe I can do something good. And he ends up, I love it because he's the protagonist. You love him, but you also you're the bad guy. You're clearly evil, but I still like you. And I thought for a cartoon of a kid, like a kid's movie, I thought they did a really good job of that, of making not the hero isn't evil. The hero isn't evil. But this guy is evil, but you still like him more than the hero,
I mean, that's not really a different premise than Minions. And
I guess, but he's not actually a bad guy, though. He doesn't actually hurt anybody, He's a goofball, right? I guess so. I guess he steals them and whatever. Also, I hate that movie with every...
yeah, I don't even know what the original one was called.
It's
I
called
just
Despicable
remember the
Me.
Minions.
Despicable Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minions.
Yeah.
You realize also marketing brain. We'll get back to Morality in a second. But the new Despicable Me movie is called Minions 2. Why? Because that is way catchier and it'll beg the kids will be begging.
Well, they
to
had
watch
their
it.
own Minions movie.
Yeah, they had their own Minions movie. But there's a movie that is it's like Despicable Me 4 basically. But they call it Minions 2. Which I laughed out loud because of course they did. Because I know my nephew the Minions was the only movie he ever watched, and he watched it on repeat constantly, right? So it's gonna that movie's gonna make bank. Uh, from all the kids just watching it over and over again. But yeah, so I mean those are little examples. And I think the problem is that when we're talking about morality, it's almost impossible to not have emotion and attachment in there. Because if you're talking about, let's say like, because, okay, an example is with the virus going around right now, there's a report saying this many people are dead. Our first concern is, oh no, I'm in danger. It has really nothing to do. Like I know certain people that are extremely emotive, and that impacts them on a super deep level. But I only know 2 people I've ever met that are like that. And even them for things like that, their first response is, "Oh, myself, I don't want to be in danger." Same thing with any kind of tragedy is that you're not hurt really. You don't feel distressed, right? By news of the disaster happening, people dying.
Right.
So that, but it's the complete opposite. If let's say in a different country, 5,000 people are killed in this horrific event, right? We care more about, probably, I think most people would agree, you care more about, a pet, well, definitely more about a pet that you have, but more about like a plant that you have, or like getting dinner ready, or like things like that, Whereas as soon as it becomes even vaguely personal, immediately it takes over everything and becomes the most important thing.
There's a belief or a philosophy that like you'll notice most of the commercials and the campaigns that you see to get you to donate for like hunger relief missions and stuff like that. You'll see that most of those they follow this kind of mantra that's just how humans work, of like something happening to a person is a tragedy.
Right.
And something happening to millions is a statistic.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So rather than telling you there are millions of people suffering, they're going to point out this one child.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it works. And it definitely works a lot better. People use that in scummy ways as well to, those letters that you'll get with like pictures of kids on them. It'll be like, hey, you have to donate to us because this kid right here with this name and this story, needs you. I'm like, I don't even know if this kid is real. Like, you're sending me junk mail. I don't know. I don't know if you're being honest.
Have you seen Impractical Jokers?
Yes.
Okay. So
it elicited a strong response from me. So there's some kind of emotion tied in there. I don't know why.
There's an episode where they're just pretending to work at like a coffee shop, and instead of a tips jar, they have a donations jar, and it says something like "Help Timmy" with a picture of a kid.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Okay. Oh.
And so just the jokers just have to get as many donations as they can for Timmy.
Yeah.
And one of them, I don't know who is who, but one of them, like someone's like, but like, who's Timmy though? He's like, Timmy's a suffering child who needs your help. And like he's like, Timmy doesn't have any parents, and just starts telling the sob story about Timmy, right? And like he says a lot. And so the person's like, do you know Timmy? And he's like, that's my picture. Like, he's like, if this was a tip jar, we wouldn't even be talking. You would have just gave me the change.
That's good. No, that's interesting. Yeah, because tip jar, people aren't gonna get it. But if you have something specific on there, then you're all of a sudden aligned with a goal, and you're on a common mission to achieve this particular goal. I mean, that's the principle in any kind of marketing, is that you give the clearest directions possible, so that way you don't get confused along the way to the end goal, right?
Right.
Tip jar is completely vague. Like, oh, you're getting money, I guess, but does it go to the company? Does it go to you? How much do you get? Does it go to that guy over there who I don't like? Versus a very specific thing is like, hey, help me pay for my car, that was stolen, or hoping to buy a new car that was stolen. Boom, there we go.
Yep.
There's emotion in there.
That's also similar to the marketing perspective of like trying to create an us versus them kind of a deal.
Yep.
It's like I want to fully convince you that you and I are on the same side as you give me money.
As much, I mean, that's the entire essence of political advertising is us versus them. That's especially now. I mean, I remember. Did I tell you this? I remember there's so many ads going around for Bernie Sanders. I guess by this is aired, we'll find out who's the primary, who won the primaries. I guess I don't know.
I did.
What?
I did.
You did? What?
Yeah, I won the primaries.
Oh, I was like,
As a write-in. I'm not even on the ballot.
Not even on the ballot. Everyone wrote him in. Yep. For some reason. Speaking of superpowers, but
then they pointed out that I won the primaries. However, I'm not 40 years old, so I can't be president.
Oh yeah, you have to be 40.
Sad. At least 40.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that's a weird one.
I mean,
it does make sense to a degree.
It makes sense to a degree because just because someone's influential doesn't mean they're good, and that puts a nice little gate on someone not having enough life experience.
Like a 23-year-old should not be running a country.
Not at all. No, I don't. I would not know what to do. But yeah, the whole point of the ads that he was running was like the one.
Don't write me in.
the 1%, are coming after us, and all the other candidates are the 1%. And I'm like, by your income, you're technically part of the 1%, because the 1% is not like it's high, but it's not that high.
It's nowhere near as high as people think.
It's $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a lot smaller than I think most people think. They think 1% is like the billionaires. I'm like, no, that's like 0.001. I forget what. Do you know the number off the top of your head? Oh, okay.
No.
It's a tiny number. It's way smaller than 1%. And so that's the funny thing. I was like, I'm like, it's not accurate. Like, I'm like, I get the message that you're saying. You're using 1% figuratively, like colloquially. But, I mean, if you're technically speaking, like, you're lying. Which is
1% is 718,000 a year.
Oh, it's that high now?
Yeah.
Oh, it went up.
0.1% is 2 million. 5% is 300,000.
Wow. I guess. I mean, when I heard that, it was older, so it must have gone up, which is good, bad. I don't know, dude.
I mean, the 418,000 that I heard that same number associated with 5%, not 1%.
Oh. Maybe I just got it wrong then.
Top 10% of earners make 118,000.
Yeah. So you're in the top 10%. If you're making over 108, if you're making 118, which I think is which is a lot of senior positions.
Yeah, that's I wonder how that's calculated. So I wonder technically if a dual income household hits above that, if that's considered 10%.
True. I don't know, dude. Yeah. I have no idea. But yeah, so it is funny though seeing the us versus them, because I think that's the thing when we assign. I think that's the other part. So I think there's, I guess I already said the emotion, right? But I think that's the reason why we have a hard time with value. Typical humans, I say we, the average human, is because you're unknown. Like, the idea of consciousness is so nebulous. We don't know how to relate it to anything else physical that we can compare it to. I think it's easier to compare to something mental, like happiness. Like, would you give up your happiness for a stranger? You'd probably say no, I won't. Like, it's because I want to be happy. Or would you say, would you give up? Or would you become, clinically something for a stranger? Like, no, probably not. Whereas when it comes to money, we're like, yeah, it's a very clear thing, because our idea is that money can be replaced and people can't, which is technically true. But in the when it comes to like workforce and like that stuff like that, like, well, I mean, you add your own little thing to it. But we're talking about like the technically speaking, your life is worth this much. But yeah, so and of course, then it comes to emotion. So I think that's the real takeaway of this, is that when we start criticizing others for assigning value to things, you have to consider like their emotional attachment, which which is because of experiences they've had. And that's what determines what people value. And that determines their morality.
So did we do it?
I think
did we solve morality?
we solved morality. Boom.
Go us.
Doo. You know, a little
Funny because we didn't even get into the debates about morality that I hear all day, every day. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we can do that later. I just wanted a free-flowing discussion about it because it is a topic that interests me a lot. So
we did it. We solved morality.
Yeah, we solved it. We've overthought morality.
In 1 hour.
In 1 hour. Woohoo. But Devin, you have something special to close us out, don't you? Well, not close us out.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so something to balance all the heavy talk. Oh.
I put in maximum effort for the podcast today. You can tell by my attire if you're watching the video.
You also just choke on my water.
And Luke planned a discussion. I Googled some riddles for him. So
I wonder, I really hope I haven't heard all of these.
I'll bet you haven't.
Okay.
The ones that you have, we can just skip.
So
but
some background. This is like my birthday right now because my favorite podcast in the world is a riddle podcast. I've mentioned that before. Hey, Riddle, Riddle. Show them some love. It's hilarious. And I love riddles. I love them. I love figuring them out before other people. It makes me feel so good. It validates me in so many ways that I can't even begin to explain. But I really, really love riddles a lot. It's one of my favorite things. So I'm super pumped. This is for me. I don't care if anyone else listens. Go away. It's just Devin and me time.
All right, Luke. First one. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?
Oh, I have heard this one, and I don't remember the answer. It might have been slightly different. The more you take, the more you leave behind. Is it breath? No. Life? Oh, this is a good one. Wait, let me talk this through. What are things that you take? What are things that you take? You take pills. That's one thing you take. Something more metaphorical. I assume it's something more metaphorical. Maybe. Things you take are questions. If you take a question, you leave behind more questions. If you're a bad answerer of questions. I think I've solved the riddle.
You have not solved the
riddle. Other things you take. You take breaths. I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind was you take breaths. You leave behind less.
I should have given you a clock. I should have a clock for each of these.
Well,
I should time you out and then give you the answer and ruin your day.
I'm really upset because I feel I'm going to kick myself because I think I know the answer. I just have forgot it.
All right, I'm gonna put a minute on the clock.
A minute?
A minute left.
Will you give me a little bit of a hint? A little hinty poo? Don't know where that came from. That was.
I'm not gonna give you a hint on this one.
Good.
All right.
Silence.
Minute going.
You take vows. Leave behind broken vows. Wow. I can't believe you came up with a stumper right away. What do you take? The more you take, the more you leave behind.
Yeah.
Food. What do you leave behind? Secrets.
30 seconds.
Darkness. Silence. Space. Life. I'm trying to think of all some of the more classic riddle answers. The more you take, the more you leave behind.
10 seconds.
The more you take, the more you leave behind.
3.
Talking?
2,
the alphabet.
1.
Reciting. Numbers.
Time. Is that your final answer?
Numbers.
Turn off. Footsteps.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
All right.
Okay.
Moving forward, how much time do you want for each of these?
I think, I don't know. You want to just call it when I look hopelessly lost? When all hope is lost, you just call it.
All right. I'll just, whenever I get bored, I'll just steal your thunder.
When the audience gets bored, just Travel back in
Okay.
time and tell me.
I mean, I'm the audience.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true because no one else.
We don't have listeners.
No one else would be
Yeah,
listening.
You kicked them all off.
Yes, it's true. That's true. I forgot. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. What has a head, a tail, is brown, and has no legs?
A dog with no legs.
No.
Is it a penny?
It is a penny.
Yep. Yep.
All right. I don't like that one. It's too basic. Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, or Friday?
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yep, I heard that one. Yep.
Let's see. What's the next one I want? Oh, this. What room do ghosts avoid?
The living room.
Oh, have you heard that?
Yeah.
That one was so cheesy. I was
It was
like,
so,
if
yeah.
you heard that, you would be like 4. when you heard it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pretty sure that was in one of my old joke books that I had as a kid.
All right, this is the last one I'll try out of this set.
All right.
What belongs to you, but other people use it more?
Oh. Your name.
Good.
Yes. Boom. Killing it.
All right. This is long.
Okay. I'm listening.
A boy was at a carnival
Mm-hmm.
and went to a booth where a man said to the boy, "If I write your exact weight on this piece of paper, then you have to give me $50. But if I cannot, I will pay you $50. The boy looked around and saw no scale, so he agrees, thinking no matter what the carny writes, he'll just say he weighs more or less. In the end, the boy ended up paying the man $50. How did the man win the bet?
Okay. Let's break this down. A boy goes to a carnival. He stops at a booth. And the man says, if I write down how much you weigh on this piece of paper,
If I write your exact weight
on this piece of paper, then, okay, if I don't, you pay me $50. Okay, I'm guessing some critical parts. Goes to a booth at a carnival, the exact weight on a piece of paper. Oh, did he leave it blank? So
How would that be writing
So
your
if I
exact weight on this
don't,
piece of paper?
if I don't write it, you pay me $50.
If I write your exact weight on this piece of paper, then you have to give me $50. But if I cannot, I will pay you $50.
Oh, but if I cannot, I pay you. Yeah, okay, I thought there was a trick in the wording right there. The boy, and he think you would just write whatever's higher or lower. Your exact weight. I don't. It's not like something like there's a scale under the ground or something like that, right?
Nope.
Okay, yeah. So there's no scale.
The boy looked around and saw no scale, so agrees.
He saw no scale. Doesn't mean there is no scale. There's a difference. You're being a little coy. I don't trust. This brings out the most distrustful side of me. I'm like analyzing every word and phrase. I'm like, oh, you deceitful little person. Let's see. He's at a carnival. Does the carnival have anything to do with it? I'm getting in question phase. No? Okay. All right.
I mean, I could do it with you right now, and you'd owe me $50.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm gonna write down your exact weight on this blank piece of paper.
Okay.
Here.
Your weight. He
Yep.
writes down your weight.
Well, not your weight. He writes down your exact weight.
Your exact weight, yeah. He writes down your exact
exactly
weight.
as he said he would.
Yep. That's okay. See, that's a good example of the ones that are simple, but you overthink them because there's so many details.
There's no such thing as overthinking if you're thinking properly. We wouldn't have a show if we knew how to think properly, though.
Our show is literally about overthinking. Do not ruin the show right now. We're only on episode 9.
All right.
I like that one.
When does Christmas come before Thanksgiving?
Every year. In the alphabet, in the dictionary.
All right. I'm gonna read this one, and then you can decide whether or not you want to try and figure it out.
Just like, what? Are you broken? The look you gave me was so subtle. But it sold me so much.
Well, I mean, I would never ask, "Are you broken?" I know the answer to that, and I don't want to make you say it out loud.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's good.
You
okay.
think he's laughing? He's crying.
I basically just can't see it on camera.
All right, I'm gonna read this one, and then you can decide whether or not you want to try and figure it out
All right.
because it's different.
All right.
What 8-letter word can have a letter taken away and still make a word? Can have another letter taken away, still makes a word, and keep on going until you have one letter left.
Is it Q? No. I know. I don't remember the word. I've heard this one before, and I don't remember what the word was. It's basically you just have to figure out what the word is. There's no trick to it, right? That's the.
There's no trick
Is it like
to it.
is it like barbecue or something?
No.
I'm not gonna figure this out. There's no way. What does it start with?
It starts with an S.
Smile? No. Sassafras.
Is that an 8-letter word?
I don't know. It's just my favorite word that begins with S. Sassafras. What is it? I'm never gonna get this.
The word is starting. If you take away the second T, it turns into staring. If you take away the A, it turns into string.
Because
take away the R, it's sting. Take away the T, it's sing. The G, it's sin. In, I.
I never would have got that. I thought for some reason it was like in reverse order. So you're starting at the end of the word and taking off the letters. No, I would never have got that ever.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't know if I want to do this one, but
that's more of like something you see on Twitter that you're like puzzling over. You're like,
Yep. What has many keys but can't even open a single door?
Piano.
I was gonna be mad if you didn't get that.
I have one right here.
Yeah.
It's not on. I can't hear it. You can't hear it. Oh boy. Our riddle master is struggling here.
I mean, there's just ones I don't really like.
That's true.
I mean, I'll give it to you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right.
If anything, it'll just be funny.
You live in a one-story house made entirely out of redwood. What color are the stairs?
There are no stairs because it's a one-story house. Yeah, okay.
I
almost said red, and then I stopped myself because I'm like, I'm going to make a fool out of myself.
So
and I don't know why.
There's a version of that I like a lot better.
Okay.
Where it's just, you live in a one-story house and everything in the house is green. What color are the walls? Green. What color are the chairs? Green. What color are the windows? Green. What color are the stairs? Green. What stairs?
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot better. Yeah. It's the same thing. Oh wait, have you heard? You've probably heard this one. So if the red house is made out of red bricks, the greenhouse if the red house is made out of red bricks, the white house is made out of white bricks, the black house is made out of black bricks. What color bricks is the greenhouse made out of?
Yeah, I have heard that one, and that one actually bugs me because I have a greenhouse in my yard and it's not clear.
Glass. Right.
Yeah. It's. Yeah. Ooh, let me read this, see if I like it.
Try it out live, unedited.
I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I?
A plant? A cactus? Wait.
Water kills me.
Oh, I'm not alive, but I grow. I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. Wait. What is it again? I don't have lungs, but I'm not dead, but I'm wait, what? Can you read it over?
I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me.
I don't have lungs, but I need air. I realize right now I can just turn on screen sharing. Right now, because I have control, and I can just see your screen.
You still wouldn't see the answers.
Oh, I wouldn't? Oh.
Nope. I have to click a button for it to show the answer.
Oh. My plot has been ruined. I don't have... Water kills me.
You can force me to screen share?
I think so.
Do it.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't think you could do that.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, huh, I can't then. I thought that was a setting. I don't. Is this something? This is something physical, right?
Yeah.
Is it something? Water kills me. That's the point. That's the part that really that's getting me. Fire.
Yep.
There we go.
Cool.
I would say as
All right.
as a lover of fire, I will say it does feel alive. I was about to ding you on that. I'm like, it's not alive, but no, it is. Fire has a mind of its own. It's alive and vibrant.
I mean, if you look at like what biologists claim as the like aspects of life,
Yeah.
like the signs of life, like those apply to a lot of things that we objectively understand are not alive.
Because it burns oxygen. It turns in order to grow.
I mean,
and survive.
fire is a good example, but another good example would be solar systems. Another good example would be stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's also counterexamples of things that we know are alive that don't meet every attribute of life, like mules.
Mules?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
One of the necessary signs of life is the ability to reproduce.
Mules can't reproduce.
No.
How do you get more mules?
Mules are a hybrid between a donkey and a horse, and because of that, their genetic model doesn't allow them to reproduce.
What? I had no idea. Because I knew they were like I knew one of those animals is a combination of two of those like horse-like animals, but no idea. Huh? Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
They're also smarter than horses.
Really?
So that makes them kind of cool animals. Yeah.
Wow.
Horses are, relatively speaking, like you can teach them that they have a mental age of a 6-year-old,
Okay.
and mules have a mental age of a 9-year-old.
Huh.
Yeah.
Came here for philosophy. Spent learning mule facts.
Yeah. Fed horses my whole life.
Yeah. We had.
Yeah.
I mean, we were taking care of a horse and it died, which was really sad.
Mr. and Mrs. Mustard have 6
right
daughters,
along.
and each daughter has one brother. How many people are in the Mustard family?
Yeah, 9.
No.
So yeah,
No.
because they all share one brother.
No. Yeah, they do all share one brother.
So there's 9. It's 6 plus
No.
1 plus 2.
Fine.
What?
I was upset because you didn't think about it.
No, I know this one.
I was actually like kind of hoping that it was gonna end up being like 8, and then your count was just off.
Yeah, no.
Because
Honestly, I barely thought about the count. I just kind of said 9. I was like hoping for the best.
what is more useful when it is broken?
Time. I was thinking a broken clock is right twice a day. I'm like, that's not more useful. That's less useful.
It's also not time. It should be a clock.
It's a clock. Okay, sidetrack. Just a little side note. I've never been bugged more in a science fiction thing than in one of the climaxes of Doctor Who, where time stops, but somehow everyone still moves around and lives, but clocks stop. And I'm like, what kind of bizarre, like, breaking of the rules is this that you've never done before? Like, you break rules all the time, but this is just a weird one to break, where time stops because your clock on the wall stops. And that's how you tell that time has stopped. And then time starts again, those clocks move. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. That's not how clocks work. Anyway.
That's not how time works.
Time, yeah. and
Yeah, because
clocks
Doctor
work.
Who's
And clocks
historically so good at keeping track of how time works.
Wibbly wobbly.
Timey-wimey
stuff. I love David Tennant. But what was I'm more useful when broken? Is it like I don't know, like pepper? It's cracked pepper.
No.
It is more useful when it's broken. You can actually use it. It's not whole chunks of pepper. It's technically true. Silence. A promise. Dawn. Dawn breaks.
I wish that was the answer. That would be more clever than the answer.
I love a riddle where you can come up with a better answer accidentally. I don't know. Is it a physical thing?
Yeah.
Dude, air. What breaks? Oh, the ocean. The ocean has brakes. Oh, when I brake, is it like a brake of a car?
No.
Oh.
What is more useful when it is
Oh,
broken?
when it is broken. An egg.
Yep.
That's a decent. That's a good answer.
I make 2 people out of 1. What am I?
Make 2 people out of 1. A Star Trek duplicate beam. A transporter. Meta jokes. Hey, look, we have meta jokes now.
Yay.
We're a grown-up podcast. We have meta jokes.
Yeah.
We have to be part. You have to be part of the. You have to be part of the podcast in order to understand them.
Yup.
Except I just talked about it earlier on this episode. So
Well, you gotta be at least this episode in to understand the joke.
yeah, you have to start the episode and then listen all the way to now to understand the joke.
Yes.
To hear the joke and then understand it.
Yes.
Well, I make 2 people out of 1.
Yup.
Is it like twins? It's like
No.
is it? It's not. Is it like a stupid? Is it like a non-physical? Like 2 people out of 1. Crippling mental illness. That's so sad. Dissociative personality disorder. Oh, it's sad. I just watched. I just watched a video about people with dissociative personality. Is it called? Something.
There's a yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a
It's really sad.
I don't remember what it was. It was something really simple, but Tony Robbins was talking once about how he's helped cure a lot of cases of dissociative
Really?
identity disorder.
Identity disorder. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just like his suicide claim. Like he's never worked with a patient who had it and not been able to cure it.
Yeah.
So he's telling a story about how he cured somebody who had something like 21 different personalities who was splitting while he was talking with them.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and I've cured people of depression, and I've cured people of like a lack of motivation. And I'll tell you what, those are harder issues than dissociative identity disorder.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, I wonder what he means by cured, because the whole thing with that disorder is that the problem with curing it is that with many people, all those personalities are real. So by curing that, doesn't mean that you just bring one personality to the forefront.
You just killed all the
and
other
you
ones.
killed all the other ones. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why to touch it. So the video I watched about it was really, really good in talking to people that experience it. And like that was the one big thing they were saying is like people ask us which one is real, and they don't realize how little sense that makes. Because to us, there is no real person. There's maybe one we present more than others.
Right. And I'm sure talking to any one of the identities,
They'll all say they're real. Yeah.
right, and like push comes to shove, because most of the time they're aware of each other, not always.
Depends, yeah.
I'm sure if push comes to shove, if they're made aware of that fact, they're like, okay, well, like I want to be the one that stays.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a very interesting disease. Well, disorder. Sorry, not disease. Different wording. I've learned some of the differences between those different things. I make 2 people out of 1. I think my answer is pretty good. A little too real, a little too literal. Dude, I don't know what it.
It's a mirror.
Oh, that.
What can point in every direction but can't reach the destination by itself?
Compass. A sign.
That was my guess too.
It can't point in every direction though. It can only point in one direction. What can point in every direction but can't reach the destination on its own? A map. Oh. A path? A sign? Is it like a sign? Pointing in every direction.
Yeah.
One of those wind things?
No, I mean even if you think about things like that, They don't point every direction because they're never going to point up.
True. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't think about up and down. We're creatures. I always wondered what aliens would look like if they were born, if they existed and like developed without gravity. Like the language of them would be so completely foreign. It'd be almost impossible to have an accurate translation. Because so much of what we do is relative to being on an x-axis.
Want to hear a really crazy just fact about how gravity works?
Yeah.
Your matter that makes up you
Oh,
right now.
thank you. I do matter.
I said your.
Yes, I am.
You.
I know.
The matter that makes up you right now, it radiates a gravitational field.
Yes.
Right. So, that gravitational field literally disperses as a field,
Right.
as a wave. The gravitational field that you're putting off right now at this moment, when you're roughly 50 years old, will have radiated far enough to pass the sun.
Really?
The field, while it's always getting weaker, it's exponential decay. It never hits zero, so it never fully
I
dissipates.
didn't know that, huh?
The field will keep expanding throughout the universe forever. After you die, the gravitational field that you created will still perpetuate throughout the universe.
That's what ghosts are. Low key. That's actually quite. No, I'm not. Okay, look. Okay, there's context.
That's when you know that a concept is went completely over somebody's head.
No, I understand. No, I understand. That's fascinating. That's that's really, really cool. But it just conjured to mind. I have a couple of friends who like earnestly believe in ghosts, and so I'm always wondering because they like have these experiences. Like I've seen things, I've seen people, and I'm just like, well, that could be something else. But so I'm always wondering, I'm like, well, what if they actually did? Like, what if they saw something? What explanation could it be? And like, that's something else that just like, that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, oh, something of gravitational ways that we don't understand yet. You know? I don't know. Like, it was interesting to me. But no, that is cool. That's a really cool thing. I appreciate that. Even though my mind went in a very Luke place with it.
Well, like, think about this. Probably millions of years from now, when you have long since died,
Right.
your gravitational wave
Yeah.
will have, at that point, touched some star in the cosmos. And because it's how gravity works, a star out in the cosmos is going to be pulled towards you after you're gone.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I'm affecting the entire...
Law of attraction stuff right there.
Yep. Oh, you bet I have a big field of attraction.
What points in every direction but can't reach the destination by
Gravity.
itself? No.
You gave me the answer. I tricked you.
Gravity does the opposite. It pulls.
Oh, darn it, yeah.
Pulls and every...
Magnets.
Again.
But magnets
Someone
can
doesn't
repel.
understand fundamental
Magnets can
forces.
repel.
Magnets can repel the same
Exactly.
pole.
Yeah.
A north pole of a magnet repels a north pole of a magnet.
Yeah. So if you have a bunch of
Right.
North Pole magnets around it, it's pushing out, it's pointing in every direction.
But there's no such thing as a monopole magnet. Or that's not true. We have not yet discovered a monopole magnet.
Fine.
So it can't radiate a north pole in
Okay.
every direction.
That's fine. That's valid. What
I
points-
had to change that because string theory relies on the idea that there is monopole
Oh,
magnets.
really? Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Huh.
So if there literally aren't, then string theory is wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing all the time, like, oh, this doesn't exist, string theory is wrong. I'm like, this seems like a lot of things that they're relying on it existing.
They've assumed the existence of a handful of things. And in some cases, like, the math points towards these things actually existing.
Right.
And in other cases, it just needs to exist for the theory to work.
Yeah.
So we hope it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your voice is it like? Wait, I don't know. Like
Points.
What points? Is it like a literal point? Is it a figurative point? I'm having trouble with the word pointing for some reason. I don't know why. Because something can't point in all directions, because then it wouldn't be a point anymore. It don't want to be pointing. It'd just be a circle. So the answer is a circle.
No.
Well, I give up. I give up. Your finger?
Yeah, finger.
But it can't point in all directions at once.
Yeah, it didn't say it once.
Oh, it didn't say at once?
No.
Oh. I heard at once for some reason. Okay. My bad. That's why I was confused. That's why I was saying that's why I was saying the whole thing about a circle is that if you have an infinite amount of points in every direction coming from one point, you just created a circle.
I mean,
A sphere.
If you go every direction, you create a sphere.
A sphere, yeah. I meant a sphere. Yeah.
Or a hypersphere, depending on how mathy you want to get. What has 6 faces but does not wear makeup, has 21 eyes but cannot see?
A die.
Yay.
That's a good one. I like that one though. I've actually never heard that, but as soon as I heard faces, I'm like, oh, it's a die. Oh, you want to do a couple more and then get out of here? Do you have any? You have some good ones you want to end on? No, was that the last?
No. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Okay. Just scanning.
Okay, I like this one. One.
Right.
This is just funny to me, so this can be a good one to end. I don't care. Why is Europe like a frying pan?
Because it's surrounded by Greece. It has Greece. Wait, something about Greece, right? Something about Turkey. It contains.
Turkey's not in Europe.
It's not? Dude, I don't know where Turkey is. I have no idea. All I know is that it's the name of a food. And that's what I thought. Because it's full of grease.
Yeah, it's definitely not in Europe.
Oh. Is it somewhere in the Middle East?
It's close to Greece.
Oh.
So it's just south of Europe.
Is it something to do with Greece? Is that the right answer?
Yeah.
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 It's full of grease.
It has grease at the
It
bottom.
has grease at the bottom. Oh, grease at the bottom? Oh, who knew?
I mean, a lot of people.
Dude, you know what? Have I told you this before? The only other place besides besides the Americas that I relatively know like places and shapes of is the Mediterranean Sea and the surrounding countries. Because that's what was my Latin class was basically we're just talking about conquests in the Mediterranean Sea, and he had this map he drew every single time, and because it got embedded in my mind, this map, and now I can actually imagine and I know where things are because of that.
All right, one more because I really like this one.
One more. We're ending on this one.
End
on this one.
Yep. I am lighter than a feather, yet you would fail to hold me for an hour. What am I?
A breath. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. Oh, okay. So what do you think? Riddle grade. What's my riddle grade?
You did really good.
Oh.
And so, I don't know. Maybe we'd give that like an 8 out of like pi squared.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Very, very good grade. Pi squared is
It's just slightly less than 10.
Slightly less than 10. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I think we've definitely overthought. I like that little segment. I think that was fun. I mean, personally, I thought that was fun. I love riddles.
Yeah.
I love talking about riddles. I love doing riddles. I love performing riddles. Whatever whatever you want to say about riddles, I love it. So yeah, definitely. If you like it, you can comment on the show notes at overthinkingpodcast.com. I'm pretty sure I enabled comments. If not, I'll make sure to enable comments because that's my job. But also, you can send us an email at overthinkingpodcastshow and let us know. Did you like this? Did you hate it? Was it boring? Did you log off right away because I told you to log off right away? In that case, then you wouldn't be hearing this, so you wouldn't know.
You still get a bunch of comments that say I logged off right
Yeah,
away.
right? Like, no! Wait, how? What? I'm confused. Someone's lying. The paradox. Hey, we haven't talked about...
They would have said that regardless of whether or not you said this.
I know.
but-
People just love messing with me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun, I guess. So, Devin...
We should talk about paradoxes.
I know.
That'd be fun.
I know. I've been storing up my list of paradoxes a little bit.
Oh, good.
Just because they fascinate me, but I don't really know how to talk about them. So that's definitely something I would need your help on.
Let's do it.
Next time, we're talking about paradoxes.
All
Why
right.
not?
Join us for episode 10.
Why not?
Talking
Yeah.
about paradoxes.
We're celebrating episode 10. We're talking about something that is literally impossible, I guess. Devin, where can people find you?
Keep up with me at speakingindefense.com.
Cool. And you guys can find me and all my socials and stuff at lukedmaxwell.com. It is up, baby.
Yay! That's a huge
Yep.
win, by the way. It's been down for a while.
It was because I stopped using that host and I switched over to a different host because I didn't want to pay for two hosts. But then I thought I could just upload the files, but it didn't work. But I get to create a whole new website, which is awesome for me because that's what I've been needing to do for a long time. So definitely.
LukeDMaxwell.com.
Oh no, it's not. It's not up right now.
It's coming soon.
It's coming soon. It's mostly done. I meant by the time.
Will it be out by the time this episode airs?
It's gonna be out next week. At that time of recording. It's pretty dope. I'm pretty excited for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, we still don't have an intro, do we?
Why would we?
Let's all say together. Outros are stupid. Did I say outro or intro? I said we don't have an intro yet.
You said intro. I think we have an intro. But we do not have an outro.
We do not have an outro.